I figure since we should be talking about the NHL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, and the beginning of the MLB season, but thanks to this virus that's been going on, that is not a possibility, that we're going to be talking about baseball statistics. Some of them are simple, others not so much. The not so much category is going to be more about sabermetrics, which we'll get into later in the video. Right now, these are just basic pitching statistics. G stands for games played, obviously. GS stands for games started. So if you're a starting pitcher, those are the games that matter. If you are a reliever, you will never start a game unless you're in the Tampa Bay or Oakland bullpen. Fucking idiots. IP is innings pitched, how many innings you can go without being pulled. Also, if you get pulled in the middle of an inning, it will depend on how many outs you have. For example, if you got pulled out with 2 outs, then you pitch 2/3 of the inning, and it will show up as 2/3 of an inning. Simple enough. Wins are wins. So if you had a performance that was good enough to secure a win, you will get the win. If you had a performance that was the reason why you lost, you will get a loss. And if you had a performance that had no effect on the outcome of the game, then you get a no decision. For starting pitchers, they usually get either the win or loss. They rarely get no decisions. Earned run average is the average amount of earned runs a pitcher will give up in a season. So, if you have an ERA of 1, that means that per average start, you will give up 1 run. WHIP is walks plus hits per inning pitched. Now, this may sound complicated, but it's really not. You just take how many walks a pitcher has, and then add it to how many hits they've given up, and then you divide that total by how many innings they've pitched. The lower the WHIP, the more dominant the pitcher. K is strikeouts. That's pretty simple enough. BB is walks. Why they use BB as a decision, I have no idea. Maybe because W was already taken for wins. H is hits allowed. Well, that's pretty obvious as well. HR is home runs allowed. That's also pretty goddamn explanatory. R is runs allowed. Also pretty goddamn explanatory. ER is earned runs. So if a run is scored that you didn't give up, say you came in with players already on base and they scored, well, that doesn't count towards your earned runs. Or if a player gets on thanks to a fielding error and scores, that will also not count towards your earned runs. Strikeouts per walk. Well, that's pretty self-explanatory. You just take how many strikeouts a pitcher has and divide it by how many walks they give up. The lower the amount, the better. Well, not necessarily. You want the number to be high because that means you'll give up way less walks than you will every strikeout. But the problem is, well, if you take a number and divide it by 0, you'll get 0 because you can't evenly divide anything into groups of 0. It's not possible. K9 is strikeouts per 9 innings. This is a very useful statistic which pretty much measures how often a pitcher will get a strikeout if they were to pitch for 9 whole innings. What you'll do is you'll take their strikeout totals and then divide it by 9. Because that's how many average innings there are in a game, unless it goes into extras. But that's where sabermetrics comes in hand. BAA is batting average against. The lower the average, the more dominant the pitcher. CJ is complete games. This is where if you, as a pitcher, start and complete the entire game. You don't have to win, you don't have to lose, you just have to complete the entire game. Shutouts are when you have a complete game and you don't allow a single run. Saves are when you come in relief as your team is winning and close the game. Save opportunities is how many times you come in with the lead. Blown saves is how many times you give up a lead after coming in. And save percentage measures how often you get a save when you have the opportunity to make one. Reliever holds are when you come in relief and then come back out. You will only get a hold if you come in with the lead and keep it, or if you come in trailing and establish a lead and then get pulled. Those are basic pitching statistics. Now, let's go into Sabremetrics, shall we? Sabremetrics are a little more complicated, but nothing you can't handle. Also, yes, I play 2K13. Shut the fuck up. There's no good releases for Xbox games. Okay. PR is pitching runs. It's pretty much measured to determine the efficiency of a pitcher. If it's positive, it means he's higher than the average. If it's negative, then it means they're pretty bad. Quality starts just means you had a start that lasted for 6 innings and you allowed 3 or less runs. Kind of like how a quality start for a goaltender is playing the entire game and allowing less than 3 goals. The average game score will measure basic dominance of the average game score for a pitcher. The higher it is, the more dominant you are. VORP is very strange. It's the number of runs a pitcher surrenders below what replacement level pitchers would have given up. It's like WAR, except for pitchers. The higher the number, the more dominant the pitcher. And range factor, known as RF, is the number of defensive plays made per game. And since pitchers rarely ever field, their numbers are always going to be low. But for fielders, the higher it is, the better the defensive player. The more often they're going to get plays. And that's all 2K13 has to offer, but Sabremetrics goes much further than just what I showed you. If you're interested in statistics of any kind or are new to sports, I highly recommend looking into Sabremetrics because baseball is one of the most statistically elaborate sports known to mankind. You will find all sorts of crazy anomalies, and I welcome anyone who wants to give it a shot. This has been Trey McGathan, and I'll be seeing you soon.